ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. One day, about 15 years ago, when I was visiting my mother, I went with her to our home church on Sunday morning, as we always did. But this time, the minister at the church was a woman. As I was sitting in the pew, looking up at this minister, I said to myself, I can do that. This is what I want to do. I had a very sure feeling that I wanted to become a minister. It was a strong sense of certainty. Have you ever had such a calling in your life? Have you ever had that feeling of a strong sense of the Spirit urging you to carry out a specific purpose? I would guess that many of you have experienced these types of knowing feelings. When two roads have diverged for you, what path have you chosen, and why have you chosen it? For this sermon that I dedicated for our church auction, it was requested that I tell you the story of my path from my career being an analyst at the CIA to becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister. In sharing my story, I'd like to talk about it in the context of what it means to be open to possibility and to the breezes of the Spirit, like in our story about John Murray and the winds of change. But I've gotten ahead of myself. Let's go back to where this journey begins and see where the Spirit led. As I was growing up in a suburb of Chicago, my parents helped shape my identity and contributed to engendering my strong sense of social conscience. Here are my parents, Jack and Peggy Bird. They set an example by putting their faith into concrete practice. They chose to be teachers rather than pursuing careers in more lucrative fields. My mother organized and ran a summer friendship camp for children from the city of Chicago and children from our church. Now, I was interested in seeking answers to religious questions way back when I was a little girl. I went to the Methodist Church faithfully every Sunday, and here I am in the next slide with my confirmation class. I have to admit, though, that on Sunday mornings at Sunday school, I would climb up on a chair and I would set the clock ahead so that we would get out of Sunday school early. But I have to admit that actually I was interested in asking religious questions and thinking about God. And at an early age, I developed the belief that God is love. God dwells inside each person, and it is our responsibility to bring out the God within others. And I've pretty much stuck to that concept ever since. I went to Dartmouth College after I finally grew up and grew a little older, and I was in the second class that included women at this traditionally all-male school. Now, this was a character building experience, to say the least. I became a fervent advocate for equality for women. And when I first went to Dartmouth, I was planning to be a social worker and a poet. But the winds of change blew me in a different direction. In my international relations class, we read a book called An Inquiry into the Human Prospect by Robert Heilbrunner. And this book described the three greatest problems facing the world as poverty, environmental deterioration, and the threat of nuclear destruction. This class inspired me to seek a career in the field of nuclear arms control. Now, after going to graduate school in international relations, I ended up for my career somewhere I never imagined that I would be. I became an analyst at the Central Intelligence Agency, writing reports for policymakers. I ended up working there for a total of 20 years. I don't know if this picture is up on the screen, but there's a picture of me with my daughters at the CIA. I'm not seeing it on my screen, so we'll just go on here. So I was very skeptical of the CIA at first, and I never imagined that I would want to work there. In fact, when the CIA recruiter came to my graduate school for a brown bag lunch, I just went out of curiosity. And in fact, I was the only one who actually brought my lunch. And I was crunching very loudly on a salad, rather embarrassingly, during the talk. But the winds of change work in mysterious ways. I accepted a summer internship at the CIA and came to find out that the CIA was not what I had assumed. It included dedicated people of all political persuasions. My first job at the CIA involved providing support to nuclear inspection and verification processes and the US-Soviet intermediate range nuclear weapons talks. I found that I could make a contribution to nuclear arms control efforts. I found that I could help bring objectivity into analysis of what was happening in the world, and in that way, have some small impact, at least, on government decisions. But life has its seasons. I had 2 children in close succession, and I took 9 years off from the CIA to be a stay-at-home mom. I was fortunate to be able to work things out financially so that I could stay home with my children and teach them the same values that my parents taught me. During that time, I did a lot of volunteer work at my church, serving as president of an ecumenical group of 25 churches and resettling a homeless family. I went back to work at the CIA after my children were in school. By this time, nuclear security concerns were paramount following 9/11. Then came the war in Iraq. My final position at the CIA was analyzing the Iraqi insurgency. This involved striving to tell truth to power about what was actually happening in Iraq. It was a major test of my abilities, with the constant goal of doing my job with objectivity and integrity. During that time, I had the opportunity to brief President George Bush. I could hardly believe that I was sitting there on one of those gold couches in the Oval Office. Life brings unexpected possibilities. Yes, we need to mute one person here, Nancy. I enjoyed my work at the CIA and admired the expertise, dedication, and professionalism of my colleagues. But there was something else I wanted to do. My husband, Vin, was the one who really encouraged me to respond to my call to ministry that I'd heard in my home church so many years before. When Vin and I met at our 30th class reunion at Dartmouth, he said to me, "What would you do if you could do anything you wanted for your career?" I said I wanted to become a Unitarian Universalist minister. He said, "Why don't you do it?" So I did. Ben was very supportive of my efforts to make the leap from my career at CIA to preparing for a new career in ministry at Wesley Theological Seminary. My friends at the CIA joked that I was leaving for divinity school in order to achieve the ultimate top secret clearances. Becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister, though, is no easy task. It requires a 3-year Master of Divinity degree, a 1-year internship at a church, at least 1 unit of clinical pastoral education training, and then passing an interview in 16 different competencies before a 9-person panel. I celebrated, though, finally, my ordination as a Unitarian Universalist minister on May 13th, 2013, in a joyful ceremony at Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church, where I had done my internship. My family, friends, church member, and colleagues were all there. My husband and I moved to Charleston, South Carolina that same year. Now, Charleston is a place where, as a Northerner, I also never expected that I would be. But the winds of change had some amazing things in store for me there. I began serving as the chaplain at the Hollings Cancer Center at the Medical University of South Carolina. Many patients came for treatment over a period of several years, and I had the honor of going on their cancer journey with them. I got to share their joys and their sorrows. I also served as the assistant minister at the Unitarian Church in Charleston. This is a wonderful community of committed people, and they act as a beacon for progressive religion in the South. After living in Charleston for 6 years, my husband and I moved back up north to Hanover in 2019. For the past 2 years, I've been completing my last 2 units of clinical pastoral education at the Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center. I just completed my 4th unit last month. So now I'm applying for chaplaincy board certification and exploring chaplaincy job opportunities. We'll see where the Spirit leads next. So many people have been curious about my career path, spending 20 years at the CIA and then becoming a minister and a chaplain. But I think you can see that it actually all does fit together. It is about wanting to make a positive difference in the world. I went from working at a macro level to help solve problems on an international level to working on a micro level to help individuals one step at a time. Have you ever felt blown by the winds of change or carried by the Spirit? I imagine that there have been various times in your lives where you have found yourself in unexpected circumstances and in unexpected places. The breezes blow in mysterious ways. As you can see from my story, this has certainly happened to me. So what do these types of experiences with the unexpected tell us? Perhaps we should be open to the winds of change, and dare I say, open to the Spirit. Perhaps we should be seeking the Spirit. Now, this does not necessarily mean believing in a traditional concept of God. It might involve looking at the beauties of nature and acknowledging that there is something out there greater than ourselves. It might involve looking at human relationships and realizing the support and the love that surrounds us. It might involve looking deep within ourselves for the divine spark within. Now, different religious traditions recognize the power of the spirit, active, present, and at work in the world. In Hinduism, there is Shakti, the divine feminine energy. Shakti is the mother goddess, the source of all. Shakti takes many forms and has many names. She is the creator, preserver, and destroyer. In Judaism, the presence of the spirit is referred to as Shekinah, the female symbol of God's indwelling among all people. As described by feminist theologian Elizabeth Johnson, the Shekinah is manifest in the symbols of cloud, fire, or radiant light that descend, overshadow, or lead people. The Shekinah was present with the Hebrew people in the desert as they fled from Egypt, and it represents the Spirit's compassionate engagement in the suffering world. In Christianity, the Holy Spirit is held up as one of the elements of the Trinity, along with God and Jesus. The Holy Spirit is viewed as the bond of love. Later Christian theologians, such as Jürgen Moltmann, speak of the Holy Spirit in ways that are more compatible with our views as Unitarian Universalists. He describes the Holy Spirit, like we do, as the spirit of life, connected with all aspects of life. He says, wherever there is passion for life, the Spirit is at work. Wherever liberation prevails over oppression, the Spirit is at work. Wherever justice prevails over injustice, the Spirit is at work. The concept of the Spirit is even part of the tradition of humanism. Unitarian Universalist William Murray defines humanistic religious naturalism as affirming the sacred and holy in humans and nature. Spirituality, according to Murray, is a quality of life in the here and now, a genuineness, depth, and devotion to values outside self-interest. I believe that we can draw on all these religious traditions in seeking the Spirit for ourselves. What is that moving presence, something greater than yourself, flowing through you and around you and amongst you that keeps you going? What is it that you hold in awe and reverence? Close your eyes for a moment and think about what this is for you. Why is this important? This is what sustains us, what inspires us, what empowers us to go out and live the purpose for which we were made. The power of the Spirit gives us what it takes to carry out the quest for justice, art, beauty, and caring. Tuning into the Spirit can help each of us in creating purpose in our lives and dreaming dreams of all that we might be and do in the world. In the words of Martha Graham, the noted dancer and choreographer, she says, there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is your business to determine, it is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. So let us be open to possibility and seek the Spirit. May we tap into the universal energy of the Hindu goddess Shakti. May we feel the wind of the indwelling presence of the Jewish Shekinah. May we experience the bond of love symbolized by the Christian Holy Spirit. May we as humanists affirm the sacred and holy in humans and nature. And may this Spirit empower and inspire us to find our purpose, to do what we are called to do, to create our stories, and to realize our dreams for the world. May it be so, and blessed be. And now we will sing for you a song, I Dream a World, by Andre Thomas, based on the poem of that name by Langston Hughes.